Okay, everybody. I feel like a starting pop singer who has been introduced, like this guy is coming and please watch his music, and I'm fully loaded and I'm expecting 50, 60 people, and now we're in the room with, almost 10, I believe. But as the famous pop singers do, they will make the show anyhow, if there's 1 or 100 or 1,000 people. So let me introduce myself. My name is George Herber. Within HP, I'm responsible for the sales of HP Vertica, an analytical database. We'll tell something more about it. And let's see how the technology supports me. I want to share something with you about big data, but you're all experts, so let's see if this objective is not too ambitious. At least share with you our vision we have at HP. And I think when you look at this summit, there are many players who have a vision on working with big data. And I think HP is not renowned yet as a player in this market. But let me tell you something about it, and please share after this session. So maybe if everyone can have the objective to share at least with one, then at least something like 10 people will know. We'll discuss the power of HP Vertica with you guys. So that's something which is something I really like. And bottom line is that HP, it can help you to supercharge your big data environment, together, of course, with Hadoop. And we work closely together with, for instance, Hortonworks. So we know what the game is about. I want to start with a little video. And, we can raise hands afterwards if you like the video. It's not about big data, but you will see it in a minute. Our vision, the value we can offer, and the relationship we have with the Hadoop environment. And I'd like to share with you 2 use cases. One is a quite familiar company. It's on the internet, and you can share pictures with each other and stories. It's called Facebook. And they have 270 petabytes in their Hadoop environment. I don't know running out on how much clusters, but must be huge. And I want to talk about the Clash of Clans. Well, anybody knows Clash of Clans? I see nodding. It's a game on the iPad, on the iOS, on your phone. And it's also now a game in the Android environment. And I will tell you more later. A little video.
The fox. This clever canine has an amazing set of skills. Deep snow covers the black hills of the Dakotas, and hidden under that icy blanket, field mice are stirring. The odds of catching anything might seem hopeless, but not to him. An enormous leap to catch a critter under 3 feet of snow. But how the heck did he do it? He's homing in on something. But it takes immense concentration, and he needs complete quiet. His ears can pick up the faintest scamper from beneath the snow. But there's a catch. He almost always comes up empty-handed, unless he's facing north. But how's that possible? As unbelievable as it sounds, scientists now think he's actually homing in on the magnetic field of the planet, using it to calculate and plot his trajectory. The kind of math missiles use to hit their targets. Just the slightest distraction can throw him off. But if he's got the North Pole in his sights, he's guaranteed a meal nearly 75% of the time.
Did you get the message I want to share with you? Because then we can stop. Facing north to find the real value under a big, wide area. You know there is value in that big, wide area. But how to find it? What we see when we talk to companies, they collect all the data because they know there must be value in it. But how to face north? That's something I want to discuss with you. Because what he's saying is, for me, a metaphor about how companies are struggling with these huge amounts of data. Because it's hard to face north. But when you are able to face north, then 75% of the time, he catches the mice. I think one of the things we all know is that we tried so many times to find value in data. And senior management is saying like, hey, this is taking too much time, this is taking too much money, this is not going anywhere, etc., etc. Let me share you our vision on big data, on this big field full with snow, and in this field lying all kinds of treasures we want to find. We want to find the gold to make our business better. What HP has done is create a framework to help companies to deal with all the data which is running around in companies. And you see that Haven, HP Haven, stands for, it's an acronym, but it also stands for Haven, a safe harbor. So it has a kind of, well, nice flavor on it. That if you have all this big data, you can bring it into a safe harbor and make use of it. And it's an acronym. In Haven, there is place for Hadoop. There's place for autonomy, one of our great software products we have. There's place for Vertica. There's place for our enterprise security environment. And it can provide you with a number of apps which can really help you to get the value out of the big data. Well, we all know Hadoop. It's an amazing smart environment to catalog massive amounts of data. And one of the things we see is that companies are having huge amounts of data, but it's not always structured. And with autonomy, we have this great possibility to even address unstructured data. And I don't know if you guys remember the Boston Bombers last year in Boston at the marathon. With autonomy, we found the two guys. Because autonomy is able in analyzing all the video pictures and showing anomalies, kind of things you don't expect in the video. So the whole crowd was walking eastwards, and there were two guys walking westwards. And suddenly, you saw the pattern. Guys moving in another direction than the regular crowd did. And then they spotted these two guys. And of course, then you have to do some other work to catch them. But that's the strength of the software we have within autonomy. That's the strength to deal with totally unstructured data, but get value out of it. There are lots of other examples. You can imagine when you have millions of documents about a certain topic from your research department or from service departments, and you can walk through this data and it can tell you, hey, this is what I see. And this is something which companies can do now. But it can also be something, and that's the beauty of Haven, which you say, well, that is not our first priority, but we expect to have it in the near future as a big wish for us. So Haven consists of a couple of parts which can help you to make steps in getting value out of your data. There is, of course, Vertica, which I will tell something more about in the next slides. And then we have the enterprise security environment, which really enables you to get data from machines. The Internet of Things, all kinds of devices who collect data. And it's part of our enterprise security environment because a lot of banks face the attacks from outside, from guys who want to bring down their internet sites, these kind of things. Part of the stack. And in the end, we also give the possibilities to make use of this Haven environment to create applications. We already have 3 complete applications, for instance, for operational analytics, which is a complete application ready to use, making use of parts of Haven. We like to say that we are the industry premier big data platform. And I think when you look at what Haven is, it's pretty amazing. But I think there are many more players, and we have some missionary work to do. Haven exists as an open architecture in an ecosystem. So the real beauty of that is when your company already invested in, let's say, a visualization tool like Tableau or Cognos, or you even have analytical tools like SPSS or SAS, they can exist in this environment. So we bring more on the table than only the Haven stack. We help you to make use of your current investments to get more out of it. Let's see how the analytical part comes together. It's called HP Vertica, and well, it's a small audience, but who ever heard about HP Vertica? 1 hand, 3 hands in total. Vertica was a company which started up in 2007, and the great man behind it was Michael Stonebreaker, Mr. Database, we would like to say. And he said, well, if you want to design a database which is capable of handling enormous amounts of data in a scalable and flexible way, and is able to really give the data back when you do analytics, we need to redefine the way we work. So he came with the idea of the columnar database. Everybody familiar with the columnar database? Not running through the rows, but picking the columns. And the idea to compress your data within the database so that it's not, well, when it's a specific figure, you can bring it down to a smaller size. Everything to speed up. And the whole idea is to have blazing fast analytics, as we say. It's like a marketing term, but to support real-time analytics. There where you need speed, okay, it's there, Vertica. The real beauty, I think, is that it's really scalable. We talk to a lot of customers and they say, well, we have 5 to 10 terabytes to start to do analytics on. And you start with a small 3-node cluster, commodity hardware, no big expensive machines, commodity hardware. And as soon as the value is getting out of the data and you're saying, hey, I want to have more users making use of this data, or I want to bring in more data, you can scale out. Bring in some extra nodes and the system will perform again at the speed you desire. The real beauty is that the license is based on the amount of data you use, not the amount of users or the amount of machines you make use of, the amount of CPUs. And that's really a possibility to get value out of your data. it's an open architecture, and it knows it has a flexible deployment. So we can offer it as a software stack, but we can also do it on Amazon. We can deliver it as an appliance. So many flavors. Since last year, we brought in another product. It's called the Flex Zone, the HP Vertica Flex Zone. And it's an environment to help you to load, manage, and exploit semi-structured data. We all know of these files, which are just one string of data. And if you want to bring it into a table to do smart things with it, you have to do some work, parsing it, making logic of it. Flex Zone is an environment to help you to bring in this data, automatically. It has all kinds of functions to do it for you. So it will save you time, it will give you flexibility, and you can even buy it as a separate product. You don't need Vertica, you can even buy it as a separate product. The separate product you can see here, it's like the orange-yellow part. You can use Flex Zone to explore what's this data all about and do some first queries on it. And when you say, hey, I want to bring this data into a more analytical environment, you can bring it into the Enterprise Edition of Vertica, and you can really do all kinds of analytics with more data in a much faster way. So how about Hadoop? I like this picture. It's not my picture, it's a picture somebody sent me. And I like the idea that the elephant is playing with HP, because I think that's what's going on. When you look at the floor here downstairs, it's almost like a synonym. When we talk about big data, we talk about Hadoop. And I think Hadoop has been like the engine to help organizations to really going to start looking at more data than they were used to. So I think Hadoop is playing with HP and all the others. We like to position ourselves as a complementary, the best of both worlds. And we like to say that we are designed for performance, interactive real-time analytics. And Hadoop, well, you probably know more about Hadoop than I do, but it's, an environment which enables you to really make use of large distributed storage. And I talked to a lot of companies who have Hadoop in place and say, well, it's really awesome, and we tried some things, but now there is a need for speed. We have this certain area of data which has to come in, and we want to know right away what's going on there. So there's the complementary part. I like to see Hadoop as a big platform bringing all the data together. And on this platform, you can bring in smart things. And one of them is Vertica. Well, then we always have people who can make really nice pictures to bring it all together. And the whole idea is, of course, that, from the data sources comes the data, you bring it together, and then you have a world of data analytic capabilities. Of course, we like to talk about Vertica and autonomy as environments where you can do the data analytics. But of course, there is a lot of other Hadoop application possibilities there. In the end, it's all about our business users who want to make use of all the data which comes from, well, the internal and external world, which is structured or unstructured or semi-structured, etc. This is the way we look at companies who have a lot of data and want to make use of it in a smart way, where Hadoop has its place and we think we have a place. We like to say that we can offer you the richest, most open SQL on Hadoop. Anybody recognizing the black spot? No, nobody from the States? It's Lake Tahoe. So when you're from California or something, you probably would have recognized it. But what we like to say is that we can help companies to make better use of their Hadoop environment by giving them well, all kinds of navigation and analytic kind of capabilities. And I think the difference between the two pictures is clear. When it's unclear for you that you have collected so much data, but you want to make use of it in a smart way, and there is an environment which can guide you to find the right things, it could be quite useful. Two companies who made the decision, last year we talked with Facebook, and as you all know, they are quite Hadoop oriented. They even built quite some stuff in the Hadoop environment. And nevertheless, they came to us, well, not only to us, also to some of our competitors. And they discussed with us the need for analytics. And we said, well, what are we talking about? And they said, well, we expect to create an environment about 60 petabyte to do daily, real-time kind of analytics. And to be quite honest, at that moment, we had something like 10 petabyte customers. One of them is Zynga, the gaming company, and they have 2.5 petabyte of data every day for analytical use. And we were thinking, wow, 60 petabyte, what are we talking about? And you can imagine these Facebook guys, they really wanted to know everything about our environment. And what we do usually with customers is to create a proof of concept kind of approach to say, hey guys, what is it you want to establish? When do you think our software is good enough? And usually we do that with environments 5 to 10 terabyte, something, well, pretty neat. And then there was Facebook, and they were talking about a 4 petabyte POC. It took us quite some time to really understand what they were looking for. So I shall not say it was a piece of cake, but after a couple of months, this was not a regular POC of a couple of weeks, they said, this is really the stuff we need. So they bought a license for 20 petabyte to start, which is, I think, quite a convincing way to say, hey, these guys, if they want to do analytics on big amounts of data, knowing that they have an Hadoop environment of 270 petabyte, this is quite a stunning story. Another story is about Supercell, and I already mentioned the game Clash of Clans. They have another game, it's called Heyday, and my wife likes to play it, and I told her it's from Supercell. And we met the guys last year in March, and they were telling us that every day, 8 million players of their game, every day 8 million players, play the game for 10 to 12 minutes every day, and they raise about 2 to 3 terabyte a day. So they said, this data is coming fast to us, and we are now collecting it in a Hadoop environment, and we have some Microsoft SQL environments to do some reporting, but there is a need for speed. Because when these players are online, I know who they are, at what level they are, what kind of events they trigger, but I want to do smart things to really seduce them. And these words, having people in your game as many times as possible, once a day, even more, for 8 to 12 minutes, and really seduce them to keep playing the game, is what it's all about in the gaming industry. Of course, you have to have a nice game. If you don't have a nice game, it's hard to seduce them. But that's not the real differentiator for them. The real differentiator is to really communicate with their customers, their players, and say, hey, you are now on level 3. And they see what people do to get from level 3 to level 4. And they do something in your game. And they say something like, buy this arrow, which is only a couple of, well, maybe 10 cents or something. 8 million players, 10 times 10 cents is big money. They are with 100 people, and they earn, at the moment that we were speaking to them, $1 million a day with 100 people. And we were sitting there like, but you are with 100 people. When we think big data, we think big companies. But these guys had 8 million players, and they said, yeah, but if we want to go on and really keep these people seduced, get them to play the game, we have to know everything about them. And there's a need for speed. We can't wait for a month to crunch all the data and say, hey, what happened last month? Then we're probably too late. So we talked to them, and they had this couple of terabyte a day. And we said, well, let's start with a 100 terabyte license. And they said, yeah, probably it's too big to start, but okay, let's do a 100 terabyte license. And they started with a 100 terabyte license. And they bought the license in July, and we met them in September. And they had the whole bunch up and running. And we said to them, wow, this is great. Let's have lunch. And we sat together in a lunch. And they were really not, they were really nervous. So we were, why are they so nervous? And we walked out, and they talked with us about their game was going from the Apple iOS to the Android environment. And they had 8 to 10 million players when they started with Vertica. And they decided to go on Android. And within 1 week, they went from 8 to 10 million players to 24 million players. Because the success on Android was beyond their expectation. So we walked out of the door and they said to us, we are so lucky that we bought Vertica. Because the amount of data which was coming in was tripled. Something they couldn't have, well, imagined in their wildest dreams. But that's something which we recognize when we talk to companies. Last year I was talking to a company and they were talking, yeah, but we only have 3 terabytes of data, which is really, well, useful data to make analytics on. I was talking to them first quarter of this year, and they were talking about 30 terabytes. I said, what happened in 1 year? And they said, I don't know, but we have so much more data coming in. So it's almost like we can't even imagine ourselves what will happen with all the data. Why were the guys so nervous? That day, they sold half of their company to a Japanese investor for $1.1 billion. And they were waiting for the news press release. And that was, for us, a truly amazing story that on the one hand, they said, well, hey guys, we're so happy with you because we went from 8 million players to 24 million players. Luckily, we have Vertica. But they are also, so incredible successful when you talk about money. And a lot of people say to me, yeah, well, these gaming industries, they are not, well, it's not all about gaming. But when I talk to retailers, their real issue is like, hey, I have people in my store for 8 to 12 minutes. And the only thing I want to do is seduce them in the store to buy more or to buy products with a higher margin. Gamification is one of the things which I hear in the utility industry. Here in the Netherlands, we have some utility companies who can provide you with like a tablet thing which you can put on the wall, and you can follow all kinds of things in your usage of electricity, gas, water, these kind of things. Now I spoke to a utility company who was saying, yeah, I don't only want to show the figures, I want to bring games into in the device on the wall to really make a game of how can I save energy, how can I make better use of the things I have in my house. So I think the gaming industry is quite of an example for all kinds of other industries to think about, hey, what can I do to really attract people, and when I've attracted them, to really seduce them to stay with me, to do smarter things with what I have to offer. And the fact that we have Facebook is, of course, an incredible reference because everybody knows Facebook. I would almost say, who is not on Facebook? I'm not on Facebook. But everybody knows them. But I really like to tell about what is happening in the gaming industry. Last year, we closed deals here in Europe with 7 gaming companies, and they are ahead of the pack. So if you think, well, what's going on, you better watch what these companies are doing, because these guys are really getting value out, of course, in Hadoop environment, which they usually 9 out of 10 have in place, but really want to make use of the data to do smart analytics. I would like to invite you to visit us in our booth. And I would like to invite you to try out our software. There is a Vertica Community Edition. It's for free, which is almost a Dutch thing to say. Oh, is it for free? But it's for free. It's the Vertica environment, completely full functionality, the same as when you buy the Enterprise Edition. The limitation is you can only use it up to 1 terabyte. And as I know, we speak to companies who are now trying to start up some big data projects which are lower than 1 terabyte. And please don't laugh at them, because they're really starting to do something with data, so that's a big step. But these are customers who can make use of our Community Edition. They don't have the full support, of course, because our support organization is not for free, but they can make use of the knowledge which is in the community available about Vertica. And you can install it on a 3-node cluster, so it's even there to run in a quite professional way. You could also install it on a PC, I believe, but I think that's not the real thing to do. So I would like to say thank you for your attendance and your being here. And if there are any questions, we have 5 minutes left to do some questions. No questions? Thank you very much for being here. Have a great event and see you somewhere, sometime. Thank you.